So I just punched him. Like, I was like, boom, boom. And it was absolutely terrifying. Because I see the bone of his nose. I saw the blood coming out. I saw the eyes roll back to his head. And I saw him fall to his knees. And then fall to the ground. And I thought I killed him.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I was like, I just killed somebody. My life is over.
High school matters. Come on, let's talk about it.
Welcome to High School Matters, the podcast dedicated to conversations that I have with my former high school students. My name is Randy Appel, and I've been teaching high school since the year 2000. And this podcast really started because during the COVID pandemic, I had all this free time. So I started to reflect. I started to reflect on my life as a parent, as a teacher, and I started to think, how great would it be if I could reconnect with the students that I lost touch with over the years? And honestly, this podcast took on a life of its own. And just like that, we have reached the end of our second season of High School Matters. I want to thank all of you, both listeners and guests, for continuing to make this all possible. My conversation today is with a controversial guest who was very open about his difficult high school experiences. In fact, the subject matters discussed in this conversation were so sensitive for him that he asked me afterwards to protect his identity. So for the first time ever, a High School Matters episode will have names beeped out to honor this request. Today's guest was never a student of mine, so my interactions with him in high school were brief. I knew him as a guy who walked the halls with confidence, with a big smile, and to me gave off a good vibe. He would later become one of the most talked about students at Great Neck North High School after being expelled for hitting another student so badly that that student ended up in the hospital. Some of the stories you're about to hear from his high school past might frighten and even shock you. As I explain in our conversation, seeing a kid like him in high school would have scared me too. A lot of questions came up for me in doing this interview, including whether I should have even conducted it in the first place. But I think we are so quick to dismiss people like today's guest that we rarely take the time to try and understand them. I wonder how many problems we may be able to solve in high school if we took a moment to look at things from the perspective of those we write off simply because they are different or even because they are scary. This podcast is about learning from the perspectives of all different personalities in high school. And you are about to hear a very different perspective from a very different personality. Is everybody meant to be educated the exact same way? Does today's guest see himself as a bully? Could the educational system have employed better strategies to help a person like him sooner? Did he ever feel vulnerable or even scared himself? You will hear his direct responses to these questions and so much more as you listen and form your own opinions. I hope you enjoy this final episode of Season 2 of High School Matters. All right. You ready?
Totally ready.
You excited?
Very excited.
Are you excited?
Thrilled.
Okay, good. I'm excited that you're excited or thrilled or whatever. I want to start by saying, first of all, it's 6:30 in the morning on a Saturday. Okay?
Yeah.
Obviously, the commitment to be here is big. I never had you as a student. You're never in my class. But you've come up every now and then in some of these conversations. And I guess the first thing I'll say is, what was it that made you, A, agree to do this, but then to do this at this crazy time? Like, talk about why we're here from your perspective.
Look, you mentioned that you remember seeing me smiling in the hallways, and that was a good memory for you. It's very similar for me. Like for me, being in high school and before that, feeling misunderstood was very common for me. And there were very few people that I could look at and have them look at me and not feel judged, or misunderstood.
Okay.
And you're one of those people.
Is
Mr.
that right?
Kaplan was another. There was like three.
You say you were misunderstood. Talk about that.
I don't know if so much misunderstood, but I would just say judge very quickly based on what somebody might have heard of me or how what they presume my intentions were. Like frequently my intentions were very misunderstood. And at any point in my life, I would be expected for people to know that my intentions are always positive and good and loving. And that's pretty much at the center of it. And that seems to be like very distant from what people understood of me. But one thing that's true is I'll always do things my way. I love doing things my way. Nobody can hold me down, and nobody will hold me down. So that's kind of like goes hand in hand with the kind and loving. Like if I'm kind and loving and you get in my way or something that I want to do, then somehow you're going to move out of the way or I'm going to move into a different path. So anyways, throughout those processes and things that happened, like I think it just frequently got misunderstood. But when I saw you, I didn't get that same sense of judgment, of like there was a danger around.
That's so interesting. I didn't ever judge you. While I didn't know you, I knew a lot of your friends. Do you think in a way you were defined by the group of friends you had and were with?
Maybe, but that's just about it. I think we both just didn't like give a shit in a lot of ways, and I find that to be a positive thing. Like you want to be yourself as much as you can at all times, and to me, not be apologetic about it. But really, we would just do what we wanted, and we would egg each other on to push those boundaries further and further. And I think we both liked creating shock and awe, but we were energized by it. But I was having a very, very good time, and it was entertaining. I don't know if you know this, but I actually came to North my sophomore year. Before that, I was in Yeshiva, which I could not stand.
Why'd you leave Yeshiva?
I couldn't.
It just wasn't your thing.
It was not for me, and it still is not for me. And I think it's just any environment that is caged or there's a closed mindset in any way isn't for me.
So you felt like it didn't allow you to flourish?
No, I got kicked out.
You got kicked out of
That's
Yeshiva.
Ultimately, look, when I'm happy to say this. When I applied to the school, I actually wrote a letter of why I do not belong to the school, and that if they accepted me, I would ultimately get kicked out. And
is that right?
They accept me, and I wasn't known for being a good student. There was no reason for them to accept me except for my family involvement, and it was a mistake, I think, on all parties, for me to do that. But by the time I got to North, you don't know how happy I was. I would cry that I was in Yeshiva. So when I got to North, it was like a playground. For me, it was like every day was the best day ever.
Wow, that's so interesting. So you were, quote unquote, trapped in this yeshiva in a way. You get kicked out, which is what you wanted. But then did you come to North with this reputation of I imagine a kid that gets kicked out of a yeshiva probably has some kind of reputation. I got
kicked out because we went to we did a school retreat. It was the first year the school actually opened. It was North Shore Hebrew Academy High School, and that was there. They just started the high school, and we went to camp for a weekend, and I brought alcohol. So I got everybody drunk, and that's why I got in trouble. So I don't think people didn't, I don't think it developed that, wasn't a bully. Like I don't think anybody, I know aside from. I don't recall being called a bully directly by anybody. I don't know if that came up at all.
No, well, you come to Great Neck North as a sophomore. You had just gotten kicked out of yeshiva. You probably had a reputation in a way of being this quote unquote bad guy. Even whatever, you brought alcohol to a retreat, and there's something mischievous about that, right? Like that's like
I wasn't gonna follow the rules. I think people knew that.
Okay, so you were you were not a rule follower, you beat to your own drum.
Yeah.
Okay. On one hand, it's like as an adult or a teacher, it's like that is disrespectful in a way. But then on the other hand, it's almost admirable. You were who you were, and like you said, you applied to the yeshiva, letting them know you're probably not going to be the person they should have.
I said very strong words. Do not accept me. I was like, I don't belong here. I don't know.
But your parents were very into you going there? Is that the issue?
It was very important for them for me to have a Jewish education.
Oh, got it. So did you feel like a sense of like rebellion because of that? Because you didn't want to be that religious? I don't know if you have religious.
I was just acting. It could be called rebellion, but I was simply getting to where I wanted to be.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yep,
so it's like I didn't really care what anybody else necessarily. I mean, I care more about me being like I have one life. Right. And I felt this way for a very long time. So nobody's going to tell me sort of what to do. The only time really I would say that, and I think almost all boundaries are expandable.
Yeah.
Except for one, and that is like the law, the U.S. law, which I met when, with the incident, and that's where things came to a head. And, I realized like breaking the law isn't what I want to do for a living.
Got it.
But, other than the actual law and like natural laws of life, like we're all free to do exactly what we want and be who we want to be, and we should.
Got it.
And I also I'm a very energized like person. If there's a physical thing, like I played sports, like I like being physical. To me, fighting is like it's a major high.
You had this energy about you, and you didn't contain it. You kind of just let it out there, and that's who you were. So you come to Great Neck North High School sophomore year. Interestingly enough, was on vacation with your earth science teacher,
Goldman.
Miss Goldman, right? And I was telling her that we were speaking, and I was wondering because I had this vibe
nice.
about you.
Me and her, she was nice.
Well, what's interesting is I had this vibe about you, and if you listen to certain things, like I said, if you talk to one person, you have one opinion. Talk to another person, you have another opinion. Miss Goldman was like, I love. He was a good guy. Like so you come to school sophomore year.
I don't know if you know, I got into a fight that third day of school. Also, that third day we were walking back from lunch, and we were passing the village school, and we were on the sidewalk walking home, and there was like 3 guys. One of them was very tall, and we just walked past them and started talking shit. It was like day 3. It ended up saying that we're going to meet at 3 o'clock after school on Brokaw for a fight, and we actually did. I go there, and I see this guy. He's like 2 feet taller than me. So this huge crowd builds outside of school, and we start throwing fists, and like we don't know what we're doing, and we get into this fight. And I think I was actually suspended from on
so
the
your
third
day
day
of school in this new school. You start a fight with. Just to give context, village school is like almost like an alternative school to the Great Neck Public Schools.
Yeah.
And you get into a fight the third day.
Look, it was an energy for me that was a lot of fun. And I would go through my days like very bored. Like I needed serious stimulation, and I still need very serious stimulation.
It's so interesting that you try to understand the mindset of anyone, right? Like I think that's important to understand the mindset. So you were attracted or enticed to these fights because it gave you this rush, and it's better than doing drugs in a way, right? But like, it's very interesting.
Look, it was that, but it also did create, persona.
Yeah, 100%.
So like that was part of it also. Like I was aware that, look, the kids that were older than me were a big influence on me. I looked at what they were doing and I was like, I'm not going to wait. Like that's happening now.
I gotta stop you for a second, because one of the things that in my conversation with one of the students, he talks about you as this older kid being an influence on him.
Yeah.
So it's just so interesting how like the cycle continues. It's just very interesting. So okay,
I think
I'm
that's
sorry.
human though. I don't know. I think that's never ending.
It's never ending, but it's just these kids.
If they set a different example, I would be a different person.
Right. That's
100%.
That's what's so fascinating about that from like my perspective. Like. Okay, so let's go back to 10th grade. Your third day in, you get into this fight. You now have this persona as a fighter. Don't mess with because he will beat you up in a way, right? Like if you get in his way.
Yes.
So do you think that created a sense of like, look, what do you think the persona was from like
what else
students?
was I going to do? You know what I mean? Like, look, I wasn't good in class, okay? I didn't do well in school. I wasn't going to be on a sports team. I wasn't interested in that structure. Okay, I didn't really have that many other things to offer.
Yeah, fighting was the
understand?
only thing you had.
I'm saying I had I wanted to stand out. I want to be different. I want to have my own things. I want to be energized. Like I want to have something like I said. I was just very unstimulated by all this, and I think like fighting, being social with people, and like just doing some sort of crazy things was
okay. So
do.
Do you see how though, as a fighter in high school, like the perception from like kids, it makes people fearful. Like, do you understand that? Like, I'm gonna be honest right now.
I don't know.
And be a little vulnerable. When I was in high school, I can't tell you how opposite I was from you in terms of desire to fight. I had a girlfriend in high school. She was a very pretty girl, and the older kids always liked her, and it always put me at risk of fighting. And I was not a fighter. I was like a wimp. I was like, you can't, like I said, I was the literal opposite of who you are self-describing yourself as. And a kid like you, like if you liked the girl I was dating, I would have been petrified of someone like you. You get that though?
I mean, yeah, I can see that. But I guess the other side to the story is you don't know also how terrified I was in certain times, right?
Yeah, so to talk about
for
that,
example,
what do you mean?
When I was a junior we got into a fight at a club, and I ended up putting this kid in the hospital. He had a brother who was my age, and he was pretty injured. And literally, after high school, all those kids came after me. So there was like, all these guys that I looked up to, like, was literally searching Great Neck for me. And they came to his house, and I hid upstairs in his parents' bathroom underneath a table with a tablecloth, and it took a couple hours to find me after.
Wow.
I mean, there are situations where, like, look, if I felt comfortable enough where I'm like, okay, like, there's an equation here. One, I'm not going to go brain dead from whatever is about to happen, first of all. Like, I can't lose some functionality in my life because of the fight that's about to happen. Mm-hmm. So that's the most important thing. And then the second thing I think is probably the social reward, honestly, right? Because, again, I could jump to, like, by the time I was college age, I didn't really go to college, but I would travel, and people would know me in a lot of different places, and it was interesting because I didn't expect it. And they heard stories that I don't know what stories they heard. That was hard.
I think back to this guy who is looking for the fight and almost excited by it. And then it's funny to think about you hiding under a table, afraid of another older kid trying to beat you up. That's a very...
I was always scared.
Really?
Yeah, fear was like a very common feeling for me.
Why? Why do you think fear was so common for you?
I liked doing the things that I was scared of.
Oh,
that's the thing. Because I was drawn to it in a way, in certain ways. Like, there were some things, again, there's like an equation here. But, when it comes to, speaking to a girl, or, I don't know, just, I mean, between girls and social aspects, like, I would say that frequently I felt fear,
Interesting. Yeah, no, that's it. You're a real person, right? You're not, you give off a bravado that, I'm this tough guy and I'm going to kick everyone, whatever. But, like, it's interesting to get into the mind of that guy who was, in many ways, like you just said, afraid a lot of the time. So, like, maybe that was part of your way of getting past the fear and by fighting. And that's just...
I remember a lot of times just being quiet. Like, I was silent in certain rooms. But I observed these kids who were older than me, who were acting with this bravado, who were acting with this swagger. And also, like, my family, like, the family that I grew up with is full of very confident people who don't follow or like rules.
Oh, okay, so that was how you grew up.
Like, I have one college graduate in my father. But everybody else, my grandfather, my uncle, I don't think my brother or sister. If they did graduate college, it wasn't meaningful. You know what I mean? Like, college education was not necessarily,
That wasn't what was significant.
It was more about experience, life.
So that is... that's an interesting, like, history of how you got to be, the guy who walked down, Middle Neck Road fighting with a village school kid on the third day of school. So, okay, so then you're in 10th grade. Anything else going through the mind that you can get yourself back to high school? Yeah,
I mean, I guess, look, there could be many things, but I didn't feel smart. You know what I mean? I didn't feel like the school environment, like, success is, I guess... getting good grades, right? And then moving on to, like, a higher part of the next phase of life. And that was not my game. Like, in any way. Like, I didn't feel unintelligent. I was just like, this isn't how I learn. And I just, again, it was a similar feeling. I felt caged.
The dynamic of high school is very odd. It's like a classroom with desks and rows and tests, and it's very singularly focused. Like you said, it's like you got to do well on a test, but, like, that doesn't work for everyone, right? Like, there are people that are, I see people all the time that are I know are going to be successful in life, but they're not successful in school. And then you see the opposite. You see kids that could not handle a day in Manhattan, but then they get, like, A+ on every test. So it's that dynamic is always fascinating to me in high school. Yeah. So you seem like you were this guy who the high school setting wasn't for you.
It was a whole education setting. I can't limit it to high school.
Okay.
I'm talking about from, like, kindergarten.
Oh, really? You felt that way all throughout?
There was one class that all I did was I carved the wall. And they had to completely they would go over it and I'll carve it again. Like, I was not interested in paying attention. I wasn't interested in being taught. I was interested in living and experiencing and learning through that.
My wife's an elementary school teacher, so I'm thinking about like a classroom she has of 20 kids, what she would do with a kid like you. Like,
I'm impossible. I don't know why they would keep me in the school.
So my question is, what do you think a school should do with a kid like you?
Find another school.
So you think that really is like, there are some kids that are not meant for the structured setting.
100%.
Right.
I mean, if you, like Ken Robinson...
You could ruin a class in a way.
I could ruin a teacher's life.
Yeah, I know. I feel that.
Look, you need a level of alignment, right? For that education continuity and like to go through a program.
Right.
Right? Like you have an operation of it, and then there's me, and I will destroy that operation if you let it. Look, most of the time I was very much by myself. You know, like, again, like I would be cutting a hole in the wall. But everybody else would be focusing.
Right.
So it's like I wasn't necessarily... Like, I wasn't ruining classes in a way until my senior year. I remember, like, my first day of senior year, I want to, like, slap myself for what I did to one teacher. But I was going to say, if you remember anything, I remember being very protective of people. And not only, like, my friends. Like, I care a lot about people. So, I had one teacher, Mr. Balsanaro, math teacher. He was the fucking man. I loved him. Okay?
Well, I don't know who that is.
I looked forward to his classes.
In high school?
Yeah. He's an Italian guy. Anyways.
Oh, Bombasino.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Bombasino. Is he still there?
He's still there.
Dude, give him a hug for me.
I will.
I love that guy. But he'll remember this. There was one kid who was just being... and attitude is very important to me. That would also something that would actually set me off. Like that I would react to. There were some things that I would react actually violent to. And that would be like rudeness and like when somebody's a dick to somebody that I care about. Or obviously they were going to like attack them.
Right.
And like... You wouldn't know what was coming. So with this kid, he was nice. He was like a nice person. In most circumstances, we would get along. But he was being a total dick to Mr. Bolsonaro. I forgot why. Bombasino. He asked him, I think, to like close his shades. He's like, why would I close? Like, no. And I literally got up from my seat. I went to the kid and I slapped him. And I don't know what. I don't think. Like, what is a teacher going to do in that position, right? You're totally fucked.
You're defending him, right?
Yeah,
you're like
he's fucked because me and him have a good relationship. And this kid's being a dick, and I'm just like, I probably do exactly what he's like, I wish I could just slap this. Anyways, it's actually a sad thing because that kid passed. And then there was somebody else later that I hit. And also, they passed. And so there's two people that I've gotten into, like, altercation with that passed. And I won't forget those things. It's just not because I hit them. But, like, the fact that they had a memory of that experience... upsets me, you know?
Right. Wow.
It's interesting. I realize now that I'm talking about all these like physical moments that I have with people that it's not common. Like for me, this was totally normal somehow. Like I wasn't, like again, I was pushing boundaries, but for me it was like, whatever, man, you know?
But going back to that moment with Bombasino, this kid was disrespecting a teacher you respected. So instead of being like, yo, just open the...
I might have said that.
There's a couple options you had. Yeah. You could have been like, I'll just open the window, Bombasino. Like, I'm going to just do this for you. Like, this kid's a jerk. I'm just going to open it. You could have been like, yo, just open the window for him. But instead, you're in your mind, the right thing to do was to physically slap him in the face.
I don't know if that's the right thing to do.
No, but in your mind,
that was the only thing I knew to do.
That was what... No, but I'm trying to, like, understand your mentality in all...
But maybe it was the only option that came up. As a teenager, there's so many factors that influence the way that you act. Like, we think that we're conscious, like, free-choosing beings, and that's why I meditate, because we're not at all. And, like, the only way that I really know that I have some semblance of, like, the ability to change myself is by looking pretty distant and ahead and making changes now for that future.
Got it.
So, like, I never think that, like, yesterday I did a 1,000 things that I wouldn't do today because it was dumb shit. It was yesterday.
Right. Okay. I
got it.
You
know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I totally got it.
That's what I knew.
Okay. So that, and it kind of does help because it paints a picture of who you were and the thought process you had going through high school.
I mean, who knows? Like, that what he did, I think, probably brought up something that just upset me deeply. And I don't know where that originated
the kid
from.
In Bombasino's class.
That attitude. The sour asshole is just like my arch nemesis.
Interesting. So his negativity and disrespect was just something it triggered something for you that you couldn't...
I rarely stand for it.
You just can't... And you had to act on it.
I don't know, somehow in that moment. I mean, I'm sure there's tons of times where I didn't act on it, but somehow that happened.
It's very interesting.
We would also be like high and drunk in school. I don't think that was one of those days, but every Friday we would drink I was wasted.
In school?
Yeah, full day. We would get I would get wasted on Fridays.
What do you mean, in the morning?
Yeah.
You'd wake up, give me a Friday that you, what does that
We
mean?
would drive to a parking lot. We would have, lots of alcohol. We would have vodka and beer. And we would just get wasted.
Wow.
Yeah, Fridays.
Before school.
Yeah.
And then how
we
would you...
did it. We called it Vodka Fridays and I think Beer Thursdays. I think we actually
Are you
expanded it to
serious?
2 days.
Oh my God.
Yeah, there was actually some more, I never got into the pills, but there were a lot of people who were taking pills, Xanax, and OxyContin was pretty serious.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you think that was because you didn't like school so much, you needed to escape, or?
I think it's just how things evolved. For us, fun became, every weekend there was drugs and alcohol involved, and
A lot of drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
Marijuana or more?
Yeah. No. Later, cocaine, but
Oh, really? In high school?
Yeah. Okay,
Wow.
So you want to hear a story that nobody knows?
Of course.
So I actually, my junior year, I started selling cocaine. Okay? And I would buy by the ounce.
Selling cocaine in school?
Not in, I wasn't sitting on the corner slinging cocaine. I would just buy enough that whoever was already going to buy would have.
Okay.
I wasn't propositioning
Yeah, I gotcha.
random people for coke. No, but that's it started from weed, right? And people wanted coke and there was a high margin, and I had the cash to
Buy
initial investment.
Oh my God.
So we went to Queens to Dip Mars, my sparkling clean, $70,000 car, and we pick up, a guy who's going to sell me cocaine. It wasn't always so smooth, by the way, meeting drug dealers. Anyways.
Really? It wasn't so smooth meeting drug dealers? That's shocking.
I want to tell two stories if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
This one, so I was driving back and I didn't have my license yet, actually. I didn't have a driver's license. I had my, I didn't take driver's ed. I had I forget what they call it. The student drivers, maybe?
Okay, junior license.
Junior license. And we didn't do any coke at all on the car or anything like that. I don't think we did. Maybe we did a little bit. And we were driving home. And I was in an area that I wasn't familiar with. And the navigation was on, but the sound wasn't. So suddenly I saw that it said, you got to get off at this exit. And I turned my wheel as fast as I could because I was right there and I was going 80, I don't know how fast.
Wow.
And I actually I hit another car with the back of my car. And behind it was a 18-wheeler truck. So I'm wearing shorts and a wife beater, my typical outfit. A cop comes. And obviously we're working out all the details. I don't mention that this isn't a real license and he doesn't seem to mind that much either. This guy really let me go.
The cop.
And, I put the coke in my pants because I knew that if he searched my car, I was maybe there's whatever. He won't find it there.
Okay.
And so after he, okay, we're okay. I get back in the car. I'm going to now figure out how am I going to fix this damaged car.
Right.
But I look in my pants and there's nothing there. I realized, I go back to the spot, during the conversation, an ounce of cocaine fell out of my shorts while I was talking to a police officer. I was a 16-year-old.
And the cop never saw it?
Never saw it.
Oh my God.
And I got home. So I was a very lucky person. I had a lot of instances where luck was tremendous in life.
Wow, that is a crazy
The other story was, I was in summer school frequently because of this. And, I was looking to buy Coke. And one guy was like, look, I'll get an ounce for you for $400 or $600. And it was going for $1,000 at the time. So I said, okay. He was a big guy, scary guy, Spanish guy from Harlem.
Where do you meet drug dealers?
Look, it's just, you attract people.
Okay.
Whatever, that you're, it's bizarre what I attract now. It's not the same thing. So I said, okay. I'm going to bring the money to school. And I decided, because I've been robbed before in drug transactions where somebody will actually take your money and say, fuck off. I was nobody in high school from North, I don't know if they even know this because I wasn't with them. It was a summer school friend. So I said, okay, let's go, but I'm going to leave my money here with somebody that I know. So I left it was $500 with somebody at school. And then I brought another buddy of mine who was the muscle, but not muscle at all. And they took us to Jamaica, Queens, which 50 Cent just came out. We just started learning about Jamaica, Queens. I wasn't expecting, whatever. But so we get there and we get into this, it's like a drug den. You know what I mean? It's like it was an apartment building that was like totally dilapidated and broken down and smelled like shit, and people were like needles. Like it was not a nice scene. Yeah.
Like we see in shows and movies.
Like wire. And we just go upstairs and he knocks on the door and he's like, "Look, I'm just gonna get my cousin." So he gets his cousin who comes to the car, who comes down with us, and this guy is like LL Cool J, who's scary as fuck. So this time I get in the back seat. Now there's 5 people in the car. 2 of his guys, his cousins, we're going to another place, and he starts talking about how he just killed somebody. Which maybe could have been like a scare tactic.
Of course.
He's like, yeah, you just fucking shot him, straight in the head, dome, whatever. But I don't know, somehow I was chill. I was pretty calm at this point still and relaxed because I'm like, I'm not going to get shot. Everything's cool. So we get to the place and we get to another apartment building, same deal. And he's like, okay, let's just go up. And he knocks on the door. So LL Cool J guy is right in front of me knocking on the door. And then big guy from school is right behind me. 2 knocks. I'm in a chokehold. LL Cool J pulls out a razor blade from his mouth.
Oh my God.
Puts it to my neck. He's like, "Where's your fucking money?" And I thought I was going to throw up. I was so scared. Because I didn't bring my money. I didn't bring anything. And so I had my hands. I just pulled out my pockets, pulled out my shorts. I'm like, "You can see I don't have shit." And then they go, "We're just fucking with you, man."
God.
And they took me back to school. Obviously, they didn't have drugs. They were going to rob me. But because I didn't have it, who knows? If I had it, would they have hurt me? Would they have not? I don't know. But that was another story. So these are things that sort of random things that I experienced, and like I like that I have totally unusual experiences in life that I think most people, especially the ones that I deal with, haven't experienced, and I think that gives me that's special to me.
I think you're really painting a picture of really who you are. And I feel like like I said, I didn't know you very well in high school, and you seem like you were just a guy who liked excitement.
I still do.
Who was not able to just be that regular guy going through life.
Well, look, I like stillness and I like Zen very much, but I have to have purpose and I have to have something that I'm choosing to be engaged with.
Got it. Wow.
And so it's like, I can meditate 2 hours a day. No problem. I'll sit right there. Sit down. I can sit down and read. I can put my attention on one thing for a very long period of time.
So let me answer this question because it kind of brings up, things that go on at home and talk about what you feel comfortable and not feel comfortable with. But was your home life chaotic? And I only ask that because you get kicked out of Yeshiva, you go to school and you get fights. Was this like a shock to your parents? What was it like at home?
I don't know. My dad, I don't know. I always felt like I didn't feel good. In a lot of ways.
Meaning what?
I didn't understand why I didn't do well in school. Or why I couldn't get certain concepts. Frequently I felt like I was doing stupid things. You know what I mean? Or I didn't know a better way. I'm like, I don't, what am I supposed to do here? An example of the stupidity is we were playing hide and go seek, and the first second somebody said hide and seek, I was a kid. I put my head to the ground. I don't remember. I was 9.
Okay.
8.
Okay, so you're young.
I was young, and I literally just bashed my head straight on the floor. To hide, I put a pillow over my head, and I just went down, and I hit my head right on the floor. There were things that I just wouldn't pay attention to, that I didn't have in my awareness, and they didn't develop until much later. So I struggled with that, because my dad was very intelligent. My mom was very successful, and a lot of, I'm going to Yeshiva, and everybody around me was, super smart. And
Great Neck, too, is filled with very smart people.
Yeah, and I was, not smart.
So
I was in special ed over the calls. Please come for your medication. I was very against.
You were on medication?
I hated the ADHD
but
medication.
But you took ADD medication? ADHD?
For a while. I don't know if I was in North. I probably was skipping it. I wasn't into it.
But you really felt inferior in many ways.
Yeah. And
that probably caused you to act out more.
Probably. So my parents were used to me acting out. Whatever you saw or knew was I was acting out everywhere.
So you were the kid that the parents knew early on was a troublemaker, right? And it was just it defined you in a way, and it was partly because you felt, like you said, you felt dumb, which is interesting to hear, because you don't present yourself as a dumb guy at all, but like you said, in school though, maybe you felt dumb, but
I don't feel so dumb now. I don't think I know a lot, but I really felt disabled, and yeah, it was painful. It was hard. It wasn't easy.
Okay. And you think that's kind of what triggered a lot of the acting out that you did?
Again, like how else am I supposed to be, right? Like you got to have something, and I used what I had.
Got it.
And I spent a lot of time alone. I had 2 older siblings. My brother and my sister are 12, 15 years older than me. Okay?
Oh. So you were
and
almost
they were
an
from
only
a different
child
marriage. Yeah.
Oh.
So I am the only child between my parents. They got married when my siblings were like 3 and 5, or they got together when they were 3 and 5. So it took them 10 years to get married, and I was born. They were both older. They were older parents. They were 38 and 43.
When they had you.
When they had me.
Wow.
I was raised by my El Salvadorian housekeeper, Connie, who was 19 years old. You know what I mean? And I spent so much time alone as a kid, I can't tell you.
Wow.
So I think that also had some effects.
It clearly does, yeah. I mean, that's like the loneliness you felt might have caused you to, you weren't getting attention, and you were trying to act out to get attention.
Yeah, I was very sad when I remember crying, like first day of school, going to school, like kindergarten. My mom brought me, and I would cry hysterically for her not to leave. It's even still today. It's sad for me.
Really?
Yeah. I'll still get worked up. Yeah.
When you think about kindergarten,
yeah,
you're getting choked up now. It's crazy. Wow. So there's some that's like, it's meaningful though, right? It's almost traumatic. Like something happened when you were a kid that made you feel attached to your parents so much, right? Like that's what it is. Like you were the loneliness, I guess. It's
working me up right now.
I don't mean to like.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
But, you okay?
Yeah, no. But it really, I just remember feeling that sadness, and I remember how painful it was.
Wow.
So yeah.
No,
it's like very present.
Wow. Yeah. It's so present that you're. I mean, we could stop for a moment if you want. Like, I feel bad that you're like.
Give me a sec.
Yeah, sure.
No, but it's like I do like exploring these moments. Like I like talking about them.
Yeah, because
look, my mom did what she thought she had to do. The business was like, just going nuts. You know what I mean? Like the look. Okay, my family, my grandparents came from Cuba. Nothing. Okay. My grandfather built a shoe business.
Oh, really?
The biggest thing, and then he became a pillar in Great Neck. He has a school here.
Oh, really?
Everybody knows who he is. My aunt married somebody. They together bought a 100-store clothing chain, and they built it into a multi-billion-dollar business and took it public.
Wow.
And, I have 4 members of my family who were millionaires by the time they were 30, mostly self-made.
Wow.
So it's like why am I bringing this up? People are focused on work. The parents were hustling and working, and we were left, by ourselves. The difference is my cousins had siblings. I had nobody except Connie.
Wow. Wow, so it's really interesting. So you were this only child who had this housekeeper who was kind of your mother figure, and then the only influence, the other influence you had were your friends.
I didn't really feel good, like I could mesh with anybody else. I felt a little bit too wild.
What? Are you okay to continue?
Yeah, I'm good.
I hope you getting sad there is just a part of a bigger picture of you. I think hopefully you're learning something about how everything connects.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It does. And like I said, I struggled a lot with not feeling understood. So that's also why this type of thing is important to me, because it gives me a chance to, for you to ask questions, for me to answer, and then people can understand. I think most of us probably are, misunderstood because we don't have these contexts around what makes somebody up.
Right.
And I would love to have this information pretty much about anybody I'm dealing with.
Yeah, no, exactly, right? It's interesting. Let's get back to the thing you brought up in the beginning. Is there anything you want to say, like, before that? Like, because history and context is important.
I'll give some context. Yeah, look, let me start. I guess the only place I want to start is just from the beginning.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So that was senior year, also my 3rd day.
Yes.
And
a lot of third day experiences. By the way, I just realized it was a Friday. Were you drunk?
It was a Friday.
Because I'm thinking like back to Fridays being drunk.
That's a good question. It's possible, but I want to give you the context here because that summer I knew I was on my last straw, and Mr. Kaplan, I had so many misdemeanors. I'm like things.
I want to just stop you for 1 second because I do remember the bomb threats in school.
That was us. That was me and a couple of friends.
You and friends.
Well, no, wait. We did it once.
We were like, I remember every couple of days we'd be out of school on the football field because someone would call in bomb threats in the school.
So we did it. Like, I think we were the last time. Somebody else might have done it one more time after, but Like 3 or 4 have definitely already passed.
Oh, really? You didn't start it?
No, and we didn't do it every time. We did it once.
But you did call it a bomb threat. Like, I know you're like, we only did it once, but like, I've never called it a bomb threat in my
I'm not
life.
defending it. I'm just
I'm just saying.
I was explaining. We went to juvenile court and we got penalized for 5 calls, which is different than 1 call. Do you understand?
Got it. Yes, I do. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's where the.
That's all I'm.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm just telling you.
Wow. So
we're not like trying to scare people. By the way, we just wanted to get out of school.
You want to get out of school? No. I'm sure like the intentions you had were not to. You weren't putting a bomb in the school.
Yeah.
You just you jumped on it.
Correct.
Okay.
But that's good that you brought that up because I knew that was it. Like my limit was drawn there. We had one friend whose parents went away, for the weekend, and we spent the time in his house. His sister happened to come home, and she called the cops. We got arrested for that.
Oh wow!
So I had like these little things building up on my record. Like, the cops definitely knew me.
Okay.
And I knew that the last thing that happened, I would get a more serious consequence in court. Like, I was familiar with courts at this point.
That's crazy.
Okay, like it wasn't weird to me to go to court. I look at that. That's how I see it now. I was like, it's strange that I would go to court and it felt normal to me.
It was almost like going to school for
others.
others.
It was like okay, I'm just
Okay.
I don't know, but I also felt indestructible. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you could break me down as much as you want, but nobody could really stop me. You know what I mean? That's how I feel in general.
Okay.
So I'm willing to take risks to a point where I'm the rock bottom.
Right.
And build myself back up. And I've done that as an adult many times.
Okay.
Anyways.
So this is the summer going to senior year. You have all these issues. You actually decide, I need to turn my life around.
Yeah.
I need to not go back to court, not go back to have any issues.
Right. So, but I still had the same reactiveness. I still had all that going on. It was 3rd day of school.
Hey everyone, it's Mr. Appel, and I have to pause here. If you've listened to prior episodes of High School Matters, you know that I've never stopped an interview in the middle. However, I think because of the anonymity of my guest and his friends, and the significance of this particular moment, context here is critical. So I want to give it to you before my guest explains what happens next. Prior to this upcoming moment, my guest and another high school student in a younger grade had some issues that ultimately led them to a physical altercation right in the hallways of Great Neck North High School. The fight was broken up by some teachers, and my guest was suspended. Both participants in the fight were told in no uncertain terms by the principal, Mr. Kaplan, that they were never to go near each other or even make eye contact again. This moment on the 3rd day of my guest's senior year was the first major interaction since that fight. After the final bell rang, my guest and his friend that has been mentioned previously throughout this conversation left school and were crossing the street at the crosswalk outside of the high school. At that very moment, the student he fought with in the halls happened to be pulling up to that crosswalk. It was the first time they saw each other during that school year. The friend of my guest and the younger student in the car exchanged some inappropriate words that won't make much sense without proper context. However, this heated verbal interaction caused the younger student to speed off and also caused my guest and his friend to find out where he went.
And just as he was driving away, bad luck for him, our friends were right behind him. And they followed him. And then, he was going to get a haircut, I guess. And we drove to the parking lot across the street, Deli on the Green.
Yep.
And I waited there. Just me, alone, while everybody else was across the street.
Right.
I was chilling for what felt like an eternity.
What was going through your mind?
I can't get in trouble. I can't be involved in this.
Oh,
Whatever
really?
happens, I can't participate. Yeah.
But you knew your friends were all antagonizing him.
What are they going to do? It's daytime. He's at a barber shop. Basically the worst case scenario was that he would be intimidated, but I didn't want to be a part of that. So I'm across the street. And there's now 20 guys.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So he's in the barbershop. There's a bunch of your friends outside the barbershop.
I didn't even know he was in the barbershop. I just saw a lot of them. I was literally sitting with my back pressed against the car. I wait for time to pass, enough time to pass that I think whatever was going to happen, happened. But I guess they were waiting for him to come out of the barbershop or something. So I could have literally been, and he might have waited online before he got a barber.
Right,
so
right.
I could have been waiting for, I don't know how long I was waiting for, but I was waiting in this spot for it to finish. But this is how things timed out. I walked there, across the street from Deli on the Green, and I'm just standing outside in front of the barbershop. And I'm sort of chilling, and then he pushes. So I just punched him. Like I was like boom boom, and it was a terrifying sight. It was
for you.
Yeah, it was absolutely terrifying.
Why?
Because I see the bone of his nose. I saw the blood coming out. I saw the eyes roll back to his head, and I saw him fall to his knees and then fall to the ground. And I thought I killed him.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was like, I just killed somebody. My life is over. And I knew I was fucked. That was it. I knew like my whole life right there in that moment, just with the snap of a finger, just totally changed.
Wow.
I got a felony for gang violence. And, you know, we had our own friends and whatever, but I also had a record. So because there was more than 10 guys and there was a fight, I got a felony for gang violence. Are we a gang? Did we go out harassing people? We actually did have a gang called KPF, Kings Point's Finest.
Oh, your friends?
Yeah, and then we had also the Israeli crew. I think we might have called them the Israeli crew.
Oh my God.
And both those sets of guys were there. Yeah, for me, that's how it happened. Like, I was very much not planning to get into a fight, and it was just pure reaction.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so two things come to mind. And the first is, I don't mean to say you laugh off the gang thing, but there is something to a group of guys antagonizing one kid. You know, like when I think about, like, if I was that 10th grade kid, forgetting about anything else that happened, if I was that 10th grade kid and 10 to 15 kids were waiting outside for me, I would have felt like it was a gang and I was being ganged up on. And again, you were sitting in the car. This is not a blame thing. I'm
not taking it that way.
I'm
not taking it that way. I just want to be able to
please respond.
Create context on this. Look, was in high school with us. He knew a lot of these kids. Nobody else was known for that type.
But I'm just saying, when I heard the story,
from somebody else.
I had anxiety listening to him tell the story. And even from like what you're saying, like I could just imagine a kid in the bar. I can imagine myself as a 10th grader in a barbershop and 10 to 15 kids waiting for me to come out. Like, for me, I would have been so freaking scared. I don't know what I would have done.
That was a hopeful reaction.
Yeah.
That's what we hope for.
Right.
For him to be scared and to just walk out the back door.
But then that happens. I don't really know your path from that moment. From that punch, it was very, for him, it was he talks about it as a very impactful moment. And I wonder how you got impacted. You said it changed your life. So let's go from there if you can. What happened from after that punch?
So, I got kicked out of school. I was expelled from North on my third.
Let's not even jump ahead. What did you do after that punch? Like literally. Because you said you realized your life was over.
Yeah, we went to his house. I think we might have ordered pizza. We were all kind of like nervous and on edge, and also like, just like what the fuck just happened,
Did you know? Did you know he didn't die?
Not for a little bit. Like
okay,
I was worried, so we started preparing, and like punched me in the face a few times so we could tell a story if we needed to.
So it sounds like you guys had a fight, like you were trying to pretend that it was a mutual thing.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And then I think the cops came to my house like later that day or the next day. And they rang the doorbell and put me in the car and brought me to court and arrested me. Like, jail was not an unusual place for me, by the way. So being in the back of a cop car, like, it wasn't abnormal to me. What I just had to wait and see what the sentence and the impact was. I already knew I was being kicked out of school. But, like, jail time was possible at this point.
How did you know you were kicked out of school? Like, what happened? Like,
this Kaplan was like, look, you're, like...
This was it.
Yeah, you're done, And before that, that's why I said I didn't want to get in trouble. I didn't want to be a part of any of this stuff. And, of course, that would be difficult for a year. But it would have been nice to do something that was less damaging. You know what I mean? Or whatever. But, look, the judge literally said, boys will be boys. And that's kind of how I see this whole thing. It's
right.
like, I wasn't going to fight. I had no intention. Like, he's not, like, I didn't see him that way. There were other people I saw that way that we would, like, that there would be proper fights for.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, this is a crazy story. Like, I'll give you an example so you can understand the scale.
Okay.
There were these kids from Syosset once. I don't remember who they screwed with, but they screwed with somebody. Anyways, we literally drove, all of us in our sick cars, to Syosset, to this place called The Hill. We get there, and we all roll up, one car next to each other. Okay, like blasting music, turn off the cars, go to the trunks, take out weapons.
Oh my God.
One of us...
Weapons? What kind of weapons?
Weapons. There's a line. Bats, whatever we could find, that type of thing.
Wow.
So there's a divide. Our cars and their cars, and there's like 5 times more of them than us.
Oh my God.
Okay, and we're about to like rally. One of us, I'm not going to say who, took out a blade, started cutting his tongue and spitting blood at people. And literally, they were 5 times of them. We didn't even have to fight. You understand what I'm saying? They even turned around. Because maybe for us, we knew we fought. We've seen people get hurt. It was like once a month.
So now the punch happens. Kaplan kicks you out of school.
Yeah.
You realize you're in trouble with the law. And then what happens?
So first I started, I guess, one-on-one teaching at South, which really wasn't interesting or doing it for me. Like, that was my education right after, because I had to go to school, but I couldn't go to North.
So you didn't get in trouble with the law at that point?
I was,
court
ethics process.
Oh, you were
I was on bail.
So you were at South High?
I'm on bail. Okay,
you're on bail. Oh,
and I'm on South High, not with like the regular folk. I'm in my own compartment.
And there's a restraining order, I remember, right? Or something like that?
Yeah, and I actually live right next to school. See, like, that's why it's like I could see how, now that you have the context, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a very different story. Anyways, like, I don't think I was really a threat to people. If you play the game, then...
Well, okay, I get that you don't think you were a threat to people, but you also, you got to remember, like, to a kid like me in high school, seeing people fight and being reactive is threatening. But
also, to me, seeing a kid like you in school is hurtful, because obviously it's much easier for you. It's a different kind of fear. You know what I mean? It was a different kind of discomfort, but there was probably maybe an equal depth of emotions around the different issues.
Well, maybe even more for you, because for me, if I see someone fighting, I don't want to get beat up, I stay away. For you, you had this very deep insecurity or whatever it was that you felt scared of different things.
Yeah, I definitely just saw that the way that the system worked, it wasn't like I couldn't win the way in that way.
Okay, got it. Okay, fair.
Anyways,
so go on. So you were now at South High, getting tutored one-on-one? Is that what it was?
like educated one-on-one. I think that lasted a couple of weeks. And then,
were you still hanging out with your friends? Like, what was the...
I mean, things were... I was very sad I was going to miss my... I don't know. Look, I handled it like a champ. I got a set. You know what I mean? I was like... I knew I was going to miss my senior year, but I didn't... I don't know if I've ever really felt like life is done. You know what I mean? And I didn't feel like life was done at that moment, so I'm glad for that. So I continued. The court, or my lawyer, somebody suggested that I do this wilderness program, which is like, they did a TV show about it called Brat Camp.
Oh.
And some of the kids that went, obviously, were brats. Other kids were not. But basically, it was like a disciplinarian outdoor wilderness program that also can help the court see you in a better eye if you were in trouble. So a lot of the kids that went
trying
there,
to get fixed,
or that you're in a therapeutic program, whether you're putting that effort or not, something's going to change.
Got it. Okay. So you did that for the good.
And that was me. I love that. That was 9 weeks. I literally lived in the Utah wilderness. So I went from north to like the wilderness of Utah. Okay.
Wow.
And you got to understand, like, this was low impact camping, so you don't have you have one pair of clothes, you know what I mean? You don't have real food. You're eating trail mix and rice for dinner.
Wow.
And I loved it. I love the outdoors. Like I told you, I like earth science. Like that for me, if I was there during my whole high school, the 18 years before that, I would be very chill.
But so it's interesting because
I loved it.
That is exactly what school wasn't for you.
Yeah.
Right? Like you talk about being in a box and being trapped in this place where there's a game and you could not play that game, but yet you go to the wilderness where you literally have the world is around you and you're not in a box, and that's
I thrived.
I
literally graduated, I finished the program faster than anybody in history with successfully escaping, also the only successful escapee.
Wait, say that again.
So I got I basically you're in the middle of nowhere, but I was able to escape from basically I ran away.
Oh, you
because
left
what
the place?
happened is when my parents explained to me, they're you're gonna go to this wilderness thing and you're gonna stay in these bunks, and that wasn't what it was.
You thought it was camp,
yeah,
and it was actually
it was. I was hiking 20 miles a day and 2 feet of snow.
Oh wow!
Yeah, we were setting up we had to learn to build our own fires with our hands. We had to collect wood. was really, I loved it. It was like my favorite thing ever.
And most people hate it.
Probably. I thrived. I was like, this is the best thing ever. And also, like, the things that they were teaching were like, I remember crying once because there was such like profound lessons in what I was learning. And I remember they had therapy. So they had therapy once a week. And I was just so moved. I was like, this is actually information that I want to learn. You know what I mean? I was like really attracted to it. I was like excited to do the programs and the work and everything. And I killed it. And I kept killing it. And then I went to a boarding school.
Wait, but you said you escaped. So what does that mean?
Oh, so the third week I was like, look, this isn't the place that my parents meant to send me. There's something wrong here. And so you had to get a doctor visit between your introductory camp. First, everybody goes into like one introductory camp, and then they split you up into existing groups. And there's at most like 13 people to a group and like 2 to 3 counselors. And so on one of these trips to the visit, the guy fell asleep in the car. And I left the car, and I called my dad. I'm like, Dad, he's like, are you
had your phone?
No, I went to payphone and I did the
collect call.
I was like, how are you calling me right now? And I said, well, I just got a payphone, but I don't think this is where you meant to send me.
Oh, because you were not in contact with anyone for those 3 weeks.
No, you can't.
Right, there's no way to.
Yeah, they do letters, but.
Right, but not really.
No, but at that point, I don't think you were allowed to get letters. Like, you had to surface a certain point. I was like, this isn't the place they told me about.
Yeah. But you liked it, though, so why, I'm confused.
I loved it, but I still wanted to be with my friends at home. Like, it wasn't...
Okay. So,
and also, it was so early on. Like, I was enjoying it, but I was definitely inspired to do well because of the belief that the better I do, the sooner I'm going to get home is a huge motivation for me.
Got it. Okay, I understand.
This was the type of place that before we even got a letter, they would read every letter that we got, to make sure or for whatever. So, and after that escape, actually, what they do is they put you in a red suit. So you go from like regular clothes to you're in a red suit, so they can see you wherever you are.
A red suit, okay.
Like a red,
like an orange jumpsuit, but red.
No, like yeah, red. But just again, like we were holding like 40 to 60 pound packs, like hiking. It was great. For 63 days straight, I didn't shower.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so here we were, and I got into this red suit, but what I didn't know also when they caught you is in a red suit is that they saw you as a flight risk. And they actually had to sleep with me. The way that they slept with me is like, you know tarps?
Yeah.
Okay, so they put a tarp on the ground.
Okay.
I would lay down on the tarp. They would fold the tarp over me, and then somebody would lay down on the top of that tarp so that I literally couldn't move.
Oh my god. While you were sleeping?
For 3 weeks. That's how I had to sleep.
But it's interesting. When we first sat down here, you were a little claustrophobic.
When I'm in like a very intense moment, like with that drug dealer, like everything becomes silent to me, and I become pretty calm. But if I have the option to move,
I see.
Then I'm okay. But if I don't have the option, then I'm just like,
it is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just do it.
Sorry, before you go on,
yeah.
when you spoke to your dad and you're like, this is not the place for me, he's
I
like,
think he just like hung up and called them, and then they got to me. They're like, I think he told me, he's like, how is my son calling me?
This is not protocol.
Okay. Exactly. So he was surprised, and like I said, I love to surprise, so that was fun for me.
All right, so then you're sleeping in this crazy scenario. Okay, fine, go on.
I love this thing. It was 8 weeks, so you're supposed to. I finished the program in 4 weeks, but they didn't know where to put me, and they had like kind of like a personality test thing that they do. And I took the test, and all I remember was anytime I didn't know what blue meant. I had a lot of questions, like, when do you feel blue? But I imagine blue is the sky. It's happy. So I pretty much wrote yes to everything. And they got this result that I was an extremely depressed kid, I guess.
You didn't know what blue meant? Like
I just didn't know. I guess there's some things that are important to me and some things aren't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I also wasn't reading that much, I guess, and who knows? For whatever reason, blue didn't come into my vocabulary yet.
Got it, okay.
I just want to explain that it really wasn't there, obviously.
No, listen.
If I knew what blue meant, I would have answered differently. So I ended up going to this boarding school in Massachusetts that was like intensely therapeutic. Like, they had their own creations and their own programs, and they ended up, in the long run, being terrible for people. Like, very high number of kids that went there committed suicide.
Oh, my God.
But I thrived. Like, for me, somehow, like, I was motivated to get home, and no matter what was happening, like, I was like, okay, to get home, I have to do well in school. Literally, straight A's. I think I had A+, actually.
Oh, wow.
Like,
so you didn't feel dumb anymore?
No.
Because you weren't.
Yeah, I wasn't. I was like, people were coming, like, can you help me? I was always getting my homework done. I was
Did you
efficient.
feel good about it then? Or were you like, wow?
I felt...
Because no, but that was something that you felt insecure about. So were you now like more confident?
I didn't think I was actually, yeah, I guess I did. Yeah, I was. I was more confident in my like academic abilities, I guess. And I also liked the teachers. Like they spoke to me and they looked at me in a way that it's huge. So also it's like the subjects, it's how I'm relating to them.
It's interesting because you're put in a box, right? You put, like you talk about high school, you're put in a box, but your persona became that guy that was like this reactive guy who was like trying to fight people, who wasn't doing great in school.
People thought I was trying to fight people?
No, you said that. That's that's what you said. You were like in your mind.
I liked fights. I wasn't picking fights with random people in the hallway.
What I'm saying is, you were almost like you put yourself in that box and like. Maybe you almost couldn't escape that box because that's who you were in Great Neck.
Right.
Like you came into Great Neck as a kid that got kicked out of a yeshiva. So no matter what happened, you were in a box in a way, and you almost, maybe your reputation, you almost felt you had to live up to the reputation in a way.
No, for sure.
And here you are at a boarding school on your own, totally separate. You almost kind of got a break, and you could be a little bit more free and who you are, not in a box.
Correct. I was totally good. I was like free to be myself. Like you gotta see pictures. I remember people telling me also like, you know, you're like I was social at that point, so I feel very open. I don't have fear around vulnerability or like you know, having vulnerable conversations where like emotions are out there or somebody's saying something like I don't think I'm quick to judge. Like I let people speak.
Okay.
So it was a good environment for me.
Good.
I was engaged. Like those things were really interesting to me. Like I was hearing what was actually happening for people and getting to know them as opposed to like playing all these games and putting on these fronts.
Right.
And that was much more interesting to me.
Got it.
So yeah, the environment was a game changer. And through this time, the girl that I mentioned, she was like going to be I'm like, this is how I'm good because she's good.
And it was at your drive to get home?
Big drive. She was as good as a girl could be while I was away, but she definitely changed, and that hurt.
That really hurt you. Still to this day, you feel like it's amazing how you getting emotional, like the relationships you establish are so meaningful to you and significant. That's what
you're actually gonna make me like.
I'm sorry. A second. No problem.
So, but yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like the reactions were real feelings, like the fights, or you know, like it was thrilling. Like I'm a very deep feeler. You know,
I can see it,
and like I could hold the feelings, but it doesn't like. So, anyways, I learned I learned how important it was to understand emotions. Like nobody taught me. I knew nothing about emotions. Like I didn't know anything about them, and I still know little about it. But that's the stuff that I really like needed to learn early.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's all very sensitive. For me.
Yeah, no, I hear it. I see it.
Yeah.
It's really it's touching to see you get so vulnerable and.
But I'm a vulnerable, sensitive guy.
No, but I get it. Like it's almost the same as like when you punch someone. That's you're letting your reactions and emotions overtake you, and sometimes they make you cry, and sometimes they make you punch someone. You're an emotional guy.
Yeah.
Like okay, so this is very enlightening in a way, right? Like you see how for someone like me.
Tell me, I don't.
No, well,
because this is I know all this about myself.
Well, okay.
So I don't know what it's like for you.
So, what it's like for me.
I'm curious.
Yeah.
Please don't hold back.
I'm not gonna hold back.
Yeah.
And we didn't actually talk about the fact that for a period of time you were on the tennis team that I coached.
Oh, yeah.
So I kind of knew you in a very different context.
Right.
And even me as a tennis coach, like I was the tennis coach, but like every player on the team was better than me. Like it wasn't like I wasn't coaching you
like
to
a
like
chaperone.
Yeah, like I was literally a chaperone. Really, that's such a great word. That's
Yeah.
I never could put my finger on like what it was as a tennis coach. I was literally a chaperone.
That's how
And you probably saw it. That's why you have such a clear word for it.
Yeah.
So I knew you very superficially, through that. I knew you through the hallways, like I said, with this guy that smiled and gave off this good aura. But then you hear the stories and you hear things like I knew you were not in school senior year. I didn't know why.
Wow.
It's just like it's interesting like that from a teacher's perspective. Like I didn't know you.
How could you though?
No.
Look at the subjects that we're talking about.
Yes.
We have there's nothing personal
Right.
at all.
But I'll be honest. I feel like I know you very well right now.
Good.
I'm serious, and I like the guy I'm sitting next to right now, talking to. I genuinely do. I feel like sympathy in a way for you. I feel emotional towards you in a way. I feel happy about certain things, sad about other things. Yeah, and your emotions are what makes you really special, but also I imagine probably got you in a lot of trouble over your life. It's your emotional guy.
Yeah. This is the best conversation ever. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is so much more interesting.
No, 100% to me, and to me too. Like, and like I said, I didn't know where the.
It sounds like that's why you're doing this, because you want to know what's really happening inside people's minds.
But then it's like, you were 2001, like, but yet you agreed to come 6:30 in the morning. You were willing to, like, I don't know what time you woke up today, but like, it's unbelievable that we're able to have this conversation. I genuinely appreciate it.
Same.
And I feel very lucky. And then thinking back to high school, because the whole concept of these conversations are that high school matters.
Pre-K, kindergarten,
matters.
Like the way, like, my parents being home matters. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like, there's nothing that isn't important.
Right.
Okay?
So all these things that you dealt with matter. That clearly mattered, and they shaped who you become.
And if I had different teachers and a different learning system, I would, had a different outcome. 100%.
Yeah, like, but when you think back to high school, do you have any regrets?
Everything.
You regret everything.
I regret my whole life, man. Like, it's like, I think not regretting something. You know how when parents say, like, I love my kids no matter what?
Yeah.
I think that is also animalistic. It's like, what choice do you have? So It's like, to look back on life, and if I said I had no regrets, I think that would just be because I'm in denial. But I regret everything. Everything. But always.
Why? What do you mean?
It's like I accept it, but I also regret it. Like, I wish it wasn't that way. Like, I feel like I wasted a lot of my years. I would have liked to spend, I would have liked my developing years to be closer to family. I would have liked to have more of a home growing up in, That obviously wasn't my choice.
But that wasn't your regret because, you didn't have a choice for that.
Like, I don't think I really had a choice in anything. Like I said, I have a view about humans that, I believe in evolution. I think we evolved, and I think we're hardwired in a lot of ways. So I can't really blame myself for anything that happened, but I also have to take responsibility because it was just one set of reactions after another, and anything that anybody does is sort of just, it's not even necessarily their choosing. And so you got to forgive them and it's all good. But for me in my own life, I only have one that I know of. And time is very important. And, I would have liked to spend my time developing and growing in a very intentional way to some purpose that I'm going to solve. So I felt like I wasted like 20 years of my life, from like 10 to like 30. Wow. Between like the friends that I had, the stuff that I was interested in. Like I feel like I could have really, by the time, this is how I think about it. Michael Jordan, started playing basketball when he was like 5. Basketball is very clear. You play it all through your career, and then you play it as a professional adult, and then maybe you go and speak on TV about it. So it's like you're doing one thing for 30 years, and that's how you become excellent or an expert in something.
Right.
So to me, I got a late start. And I also have an innate energy and come from a good place. Like I have resources to do things. And if that could have been adjusted in some way earlier in my life, I think I could have had a bigger impact on the world earlier. And I could have had a more steady life. I think that it's too complex to even say, but like the baggage that I had from all these things was significant work to go through after high school.
Okay, so when you say you have regrets, you can't not have. It's funny.
Yeah.
So when I think back to the conversations, I ask people a lot whether they regret things, but their thought process is, I have no regrets, even though I went through really terrible situations.
Yeah.
But it led me to the place they are currently.
I think that's so animalistic. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think that you're automatically going to go there because it's easier. Sorry to everybody who said that.
No, listen, it's you.
But I think it's easier emotionally and mentally to handle that. Yeah, everything led me up to this moment, and you're the perfect child because everything that you did made me who I am today. Wow. But you know that when you see that parent who's saying it to that child, you're like, can't be fucking thinking that, okay? And when my dad tells me that, I'm like, Dad, stop it. There's no. If I had me as a child, I would have really done it differently. Not that I would have done it better.
Interestingly,
but my dad is like, yeah, I'm so proud of you, like who you become, all this stuff. I'm like, he's like, you're the best thing that happened to me. I'm like, come on, man. Like, it can't be. Just because, to me, if you say that, it means that you're not really thinking.
Right, so like if you said
Yeah.
to your parents, do you have any regrets on parenting, for example, you'd want them to say, yes, I wish I was around more when Sam was a
100%.
kid. But instead, they're going to be like, no, I all is good because the way he is now and he turned out good. But it's because
Such a
they're
bullshit
not
story.
letting them...
They're not reflecting. Like, you're not... it's just a reflex.
Interesting.
But I think it's the only way, at least for me, is I journal a lot. I write every day.
Oh, wow.
And that's how I know what's actually going on with me, because I
Right.
get to read and it's a mirror on myself. Every day I choose one thing to focus on, to better myself.
Right.
I choose one impossible thing to do. I read that every day. Like, I'm super internally, trying to shed light on my inner self every day. And there's always more.
I get the concept of all regrets. In a
Okay.
way. Do you have a specific regret that you can isolate that, obviously that punch, for example, led you down a whole different path? Like, I'm not saying that's the one thing, but I'm saying, like, there are pivotal moments that changed your life. Do you have any specific regret?
The ones that I feel bad about, like, that I would regret the most is where I really, honestly, where I hurt other people. So it's like, if we were behaving the way we were with girls now when we were 14 years old, it would be a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like, so that's one. I feel bad. I feel regretful about things that other people have to carry because of my actions. I do want to mention a couple, like slapping that kid was definitely a regret.
In class? Yeah.
There was one time where I did coke on a Friday night, and I started like attacking these two guys that were going to shul, not like too violently. They were going to synagogue, and I just still feel like a shithead about that. Of course, I have like embarrassments or gaffes, you know what I mean? But I hope that anybody that I did something to or feels pain for my action would somehow, like, I just hope that they're relieved of that by now.
I think people hearing this are going to get a lot out of this in a way that I never expected. Because, like, I don't even know.
Can I be the first?
Yeah, but I really think that it there's something to this story that is relatable in a way, but also very, like, powerful in a way. So, and then I guess the last thing I'll ask you, just because it's interesting to reflect, because you just told me your story, right? Your story's from your childhood, right, as a almost a 4 or 5 year old, all the way till now. Are you happy with the story of your life right now?
I mean, only if it's doing something. You know what I mean? Like, I can't say I'm not sad about it. My story is what happened, and I accept most things. Sometimes I get pangs of like, fuck, you know what I mean? Like, that happened, or like, yes, like I did that. But I think my story, I really will only like my story, for reasons like this. Like, if it helps people, then yeah. I also feel that my story is valuable and my experiences are valuable and I have something to communicate.
Right.
But I'm still, we'll see.
Okay.
So yeah, I do think it's, I'm not depressed about it, but I'm also not, it's whatever. I like how other people get excited about it. That is a lot of fun for me. They're like, yo, what did you do? You know what I mean? And that's like, I like that.
Did this conversation bring back any bad memories? Because I feel this conversation was extremely valuable to me. Do you feel like this conversation was extremely valuable to you, or is this just something you do and this is just your life?
What you're doing for me, I actually can't express the importance of it. Like,
why?
Because again, like, picture me as a sophomore in high school, okay, and all I know is that I see with a hot girl and punching a guy,
right,
and then I hear talk. Okay, now I've learned something. It's that simple. So I hope, if this can give value to like the freshmen today, or
right.
No, it's a beautiful thing, and I think that you did like really good job actually with like the pacing it and the questions. Like, you're very good. Like, I really feels more professional than I anticipated, and I like the scrappiness and your hustle. It's actually a lot of fun for me.
That's great.
But I do like reflecting on it. I like that you're bringing us together. I think a lot of us are damaged, from North, and I don't know if we're unique. I don't think that we're unique. I think it's actually rare to even live a life with some form of like mental stability. You know what I mean, or like clarity. Like, I think that's definitely the exception, not the rule.
Right. But no, this was great. I really, really genuinely enjoyed this conversation. I hope you
Likewise.
did. And,
yeah.
That's it.
I'm sad that we run out of stuff.
It's like,
listen, maybe we could do a part 2.
I'm in.
But like post, because there are some significant life events also that I feel like would fit this.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll do it.
Anytime you want to do it
6:30
again.
on a Saturday.
Listen, if you can get me up at 6:30 in the morning, you know that it can be done. So
100%.
That's it.
All right, good.
All right, man. Great talking to you. Awesome. Good times.
Great time.
One is the loneliest number that you'll ever do. Two can be as bad as one. It's the loneliest number since the number one. No is the saddest experience you'll ever know. Yes, it's the saddest experience you'll ever know. Because one is the loneliest number that you'll ever do. One is the loneliest number that you'll ever know.
I hope you enjoyed this final episode of Season 2 of High School Matters. I want to thank my guests for being willing to have this open, honest, and what I imagine to be difficult conversation with me, and by extension, with all of you. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review this on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen, and tell all of your friends to rate and review it too. Every positive review helps new listeners find the show, so spread the word and subscribe. If you have any suggestions or comments, send me a DM at HSMattersPod, or you can send me an email the old-fashioned way at hsmatterspod@gmail.com. Also, follow us on social media at the handle HSMattersPod for weekly updates on the podcast, for pictures of me and guests, for pictures of guests from high school, and any other information about the show. High School Matters was created, produced, and edited by yours truly, your host, Randy Appel. Executive producer is John Fuss. Sound consultant is Peter Lennox. Our music is written and performed by me and is produced by Lee Tepper. I also want to give a special shout out to my former student, Mason Colati, for showing me from day one how to edit on GarageBand. High School Matters is, and always has been, a Belston production. 88766 signing off. I hope everyone learned something and enjoyed.
One is the loneliest number